I'm here with Luzette King, social activist and producer of Global Highlights, a well-known radio program in St. Vincent and Grenadines. She was involved and is involved in protest action in St. Vincent and Grenadines. Luzette, I wanted to give us an account of what is going on in the protest so far.
Well, basically a group of us have decided to make our voices heard and our presence felt to protest the December 9th general elections that happened in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We are of the view, and there is a lot of information around to support that view, that our elections on December 9th were not free and fair, as is advocated by the gentleman Dr. Ralph Gonzalez. He, in the midst of a recount, attempted to have himself sworn in as the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and Grenadines, and this happened on December 10th in the Central Leeward constituency, which is, at the moment, is being challenged in the court of law. So what we're saying basically is that we do not believe that the Unity Labour Party was elected to govern us for 2016, and that the New Democratic Party was the one that was elected with the leader, the Honorable Anin Ulrich Eustace. We've been meeting at the same point outside of the electoral office for about a week after the elections, because between the elections and when we started meeting, the New Democratic Party were having their own protest march, but the leader, Mr. Eustace, declared that because of the Christmas season, he was going to suspend actions. But we continued, and even on Christmas Day and New Year's Day we were there, because we believe that too many of us take matters for 9 days, and after 9 days it's gone. While we've been on the protest site outside of the electoral office, the police officers have been very unfair, and in some ways I would say unlawful, because they are preventing us from, or trying to prevent us from, protesting peacefully. They're doing this by putting up arbitrary barriers around the electoral office where we're protesting, and we're protesting precisely because we believe the supervisor of elections, Mrs. Finley, was the one who actually helped to hatch the rigging of the elections. I mean, where on earth can you hear of some polling stations having either more people voting than are registered, or the 100% registered are voting? It doesn't happen, and that's just one of the complaints that we have. On Wednesday last, that would have been Wednesday, January 6th, I was taken, and I'm sure lots of people have seen that photograph, where the two police officers, one in particular, Samuel, he and somebody else lifted me and threw me in a police van, because according to them, I was creating an inconvenience to the flow of traffic, and that charge they brought under our Criminal Code Act 2009. I don't quite remember the section and the chapter, but the attempt is to criminalize my attempt to protest peacefully. I appeared in court the very next day, 7th, and I pleaded not guilty to the charge, a single charge, and I'm to appear in court on the 19th of January for a hearing of that matter.
Okay, you don't want to go through when you were arrested, what happened, and would you like to give us an account of the day at court and your feeling, your general feeling?
I prefer not to say too much about the case itself, because it is in court, and I don't want to be whatever I say to be taken out of context. I prefer that. But my general feeling is that I am doing very little that is different to what I did in 2000 when I was part of helping the Unity Labour Party to become, to take over from the New Democratic Party, who had been, the New Democratic Party at the time, they had, they were in for the fourth term, and they were in there halfway through the fourth term, so they would have been in power for 17 years. And they had become very complacent. There were charges of corruption and all manner of evils, but I hasten to say, it's nothing, absolutely nothing in comparison to what we have now with the Unity Labour Party regime. I do not regard Dr. Ralph Gonsalves as any prime minister. He is not the prime minister. The results, the election was too rigged for anybody to claim with a narrow majority of 8-7 that he was duly elected. He was not elected. And so I believe that St. Vincent is governless, and even more so when we have him trying to perpetuate the same pattern, the same conduct, going on the radio stations. Yesterday he was there 3 times. I think he had a press conference in the morning that was carried on radio, and then he had another 2 radio appearances, just cussing out, literally, the Caribbean term, cussing out people who he believes are his opponents. We cannot afford in the region to have somebody doing this. And the importance of this, Brian, is that this is the 2nd year of the United Nations Decade for People of African Descent. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is predominantly of African descent population. And the theme of that United Nations Decade is recognition, justice, and development. And so we cannot, Ralph Gonsalves has not demonstrated, even until yesterday, that he is able to help us achieve those goals that the United Nations have set. And so I intend to continue the protest and to help women, help empower women who are, most of them are being they claim have had a lot of experiences with the issue of rape, and some of them are even accusing the Prime Minister himself. And so we cannot have somebody like that in power, and we know that he won't be able to create that space for us to develop, and especially women. So what I intend to do is from Monday to Friday I'll be on the picket line, the protest section, and then Saturday when I do the program Global Highlights, and as of next weekend I intend to take it to the streets in the constituencies to sensitize people and to show them how the elections could have been or have been stolen. This is too serious. The only real franchise we have been left with as descendants of African slaves is the right to vote freely and fairly for those we wish to govern us. And if we can't get that, then we might as well pack up shop and go home, But we intend to insist that we get what we voted for. And the Unity Labour Party as government, and certainly as Dr. Ralph Gonsalves as our Prime Minister, that is not what we voted for. The majority did not vote for that.
Yes, and finally, and Luzette, you're there every day, so you must have gotten the feeling of the people in and around you. What is this different than any of the activities you had protest activities
yes,
before?
Because I'm glad you asked that question. Were it not for the Honorable Arnim Eustace, St. Vincent would have been a light. And those people who choose to underestimate the anger among young people, they're doing that at their peril, not only their peril, but the peril of the nation. Young people are coming to me every single day expressing their anger and expressing ways that they want to, let that anger be known. And there are things that I've had to try to temper, calm their tempers. And people are angry, women are complaining, they don't know what to do. And even when we know that the New Democratic Party would not have been able to do much overnight, the New Democratic Party as a government would have been a ray of hope, and people's moods would have been lifted, and they would have been encouraged to go out and try to materialize their goals, their dreams, their visions. And one of the things that Dr. Ralph Gonsalves does very well is criticize those of us who dare to be ambitious. We have a situation of the famous case of Bigger Biggs, Leon Samuel. He was younger than 50 years old and invested $11 million in a business. And Ralph Gonsalves and his government destroyed that business, and in the end had to admit that it was unfair, but it's not him, it's the advice he got. So we want him out of the way. We want a new regime so that we can come back as a united nation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and for the benefit of all Vincentians, not just a chosen few.
Okay, thank you very much, Luzette. Brian Alexander, political activist in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Thank you.